But yeah, he released that joint a while ago. Maybe last year. Yeah, it came out on New Year's Day. And we're gonna remember the Titans is the name of the joint.
Fire. You know it's crazy. Out of all the hip hop we've probably listened to in our whole lives, there's probably still a whole nother half of hip hop that we have not experienced just yet. I try to go back and just think about like albums that I probably didn't listen to with the ear that I have now and just go back to them.
Yeah.
Like I actually, and it's funny. It's funny I'm gonna say this, but you understand what I mean. I went back to like Mace Harlem World. I went back to it because I didn't really listen to it when the time it was out. I went back to it. I
Mace
went back.
Bars.
Huh?
Mace had bars.
Mace had bars. He got records. You know what I'm saying? What else? I went back to a couple of Mac Mall albums. You know what I'm saying? I just did I did my workout to like just Mac Mall for a whole day. I went back to some of the old E40 albums. Even though I was familiar with like his first album or whatnot, there's a couple of them I was missing. And I just try to pick an album, at least every 1 or 2 albums every week that I didn't focus on. Cause I know me, I was a heavy Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, whatever artist I was on, I was heavy on that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, so that actually put distance between me listening to a couple of other albums on a repeated level. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, let me just go back to a couple of them and just enjoy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so that was crazy.
Sometimes you got to do that too, because there's so much stuff that's released all the time. We're gonna get into it. Things fall apart.
Things fall apart.
Counselor
Polly Rob, local astronauts, WORKLOAD.
What up? Chilling out. In that kind of same vein, hip hop just turned 53 years old.
53.
Yeah, so there's so much stuff that's been released over the years. Like if it's not on the list of like the classic stuff that I would really be into, like you said, when I was messing with heavy, then it's just whatever I haven't heard before. I rarely go back to listen to albums again that just kind of passed me by, but I know I heard them.
Right.
I recognize the big cuts from them, of course, like everyone does, but especially nowadays with all the stuff that gets released in this day and age, in this 53rd year of this thing of ours.
It's a beautiful time.
Yeah. I think the conversation is really swirling around where hip hop has come since it turned 50, in these past 3 years and what has happened. What is the state of the culture, Counselor?
I think it's moving in the right direction. Continuing to move in the right direction. I remember when hip hop turned 50 and, there were award shows and things like that showcased like the past 50 years or whatnot.
They were all
right. And I was just about to say, like, I remember getting into multiple conversations and debates and arguments of, people not liking the actual tribute to it. But for me, it's almost like when something turns 50, you would literally spend days trying to explain the trajectory of hip hop and where it went. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody could have did a hip hop 50 as justice, just with how they've been producing shows so far for the past like 10 years. You know what I mean?
What excelled was the other ancillary material. I mean, nobody looks for award shows to really give us our justice, not even the ones that are geared towards hip hop. But, there were a lot of tours, a lot of good tours. That Nazi Wu-Tang tour, went on that year.
Right.
There was a few more. But that type of stuff. And of course, the releases, all the classic music.
Yeah, that's what I mean. See, you get it. I even have to say nothing. That's what I mean by, if we're going to celebrate hip hop through the things we're doing continuously that we need to do. The Wu-Tang shows, like you said, the albums that's dropping, certain unique anniversary album concerts. These are things that we're experiencing for the past 3 years or so since hip hop turned 50. Let's continue to keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about that a couple of times, on the show, hoping that we see more anniversary concerts. Jeezy did the Thug Motivation with a whole band and everybody in suit and tie.
Right.
That's what we need. I'm not looking for BT, the Grammys, no station or no media outlet. I'm not looking for them to help me celebrate my hip hop. I'm looking for what the artists are doing. Artists coming back together and doing records together. That's our celebration. Let's continue to see that. Let's continue to enjoy those elements. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, it's like, we're still to some level, even though we're enthusiasts of hip hop and creators, we are still fans. We're still fans. So the best way you can celebrate 50 plus years of hip hop is to continue to be a fan.
Right.
Whether you're streaming, whether you're buying vinyl, whether you're buying merch, whether you're, going out to shows, just continue to be a fan. That's the biggest level of thank you hip hop you could ever give. You know what I mean?
Straight up and down. I agree. And I also agree with the sentiment that hip hop is going in the right direction. Most definitely. It's so much to be said about this thing turning 50. 50 right. Is, definitely a milestone. What is 50 paper anniversary? I don't know what 50 is. But to even still be going strong and evolving in so much since that milestone of an anniversary. And I love that, while I don't necessarily agree with all the newer artists or some of the newer sounds that are coming out, I love that the high level stuff is at the highest level that I think I've ever seen it at.
Because it'll always be that way. It'll never change. And right. In my opinion, that's just music in general. I mean, let's take this, for instance. Just hear me out. You go to the liquor store, right? You go to the liquor store, you want something to drink. For all the bottle and drink enthusiasts, you want to go get something to drink, right? You got a section way in the back that got the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The bullshit is Mad Dog 2020, Thunderbird, all of that type of stuff. Then you move a little bit closer. You got the little the Gallo Moscatos. You got the all the little small little wine bottles and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the beers and all that. And then you move closer. The closer you move to the register, you start to see more of the high quality product. All of the super expensive stuff is way at the top and back of the cashier that got the gun under the situation. So what I'm saying is that all music does sometimes is they always give you the BS. You go get that first. You go experience that first. And I'm not trying to call all the artists that do club music or drill or whatever. I'm not trying to call them BS, but what I'm saying is it is a very high volume of people buying it. So you're going to always have that in bulk at the store, just like the liquor store. You're going to have Stella Rosa in bulk. You're going to have Corona in bulk. You're going to have these things in bulk. Then you get to the next level. You got some hip hop artists in that category. You got some better R&B and contemporary artists in that category. You got people who make a little bit more effective life music. You know what I mean? Then it goes up. It's harder to find because it's not at every store, but if you get a good store, you'll get some of that good music. And then you got the next level, which is the high end. You know what the high end is? Every now and then they'll have a high end that is almost in the same culture of what the low end would do. But the true high end, the wine bottle from 1864, the cognac that's $420 at the store, that's the Kendricks.
Right.
That's the JIDs. That's the J. Coles. I just got to be honest. So
Good analogy.
it's a lot harder to find, but you know where it's at when you want to go get it. And it is the purest level of whatever that medium is. Kendrick Lamar is the purest level of that. Nas is the purest level of that. Jay-Z is the purest level of that. You know what I mean? And we need to cherish our artists as such. We know we could always go get Stella Rosa at any given time. But we know that when we want to truly celebrate and truly be indulged by the realness of hip hop, we know where to go. Everybody knows where to go. You know what I mean? That's how I put it.
Most definitely. Happy birthday, hip hop.
Happy birthday. Man.
You know, the conversation is also picking up every year. It's been going on for at least a decade now, but it really kind of jumped off when hip hop turned 50. Mm-hmm. And that is what they call the big Herc, the Kool Herc lie.
Right.
Of course, you know, he was not the sole originator of hip hop. How they'll tell the story is like he was, you know, through the party and then like, you know, was spinning the record, jumped off, start breakdancing, you know, threw some graph pieces up real quick and just, you know, and just did it all real quick. And him right. And like I think 2 other people or something. When in fact we know there were plenty of people that inspired him who were, you know, doing the hip hop. What I want to ask is why does hip hop still accept and, you know, continue that narrative?
Well, first off, I'm nowhere near a hip hop historian because the historians, they deal with facts, they've done their research. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. The masses, the people, anybody who loves this medium of what we do, they can identify more with having a one date as opposed to a multitude of instances and dates and situations that created it. Now, even in the documentaries, when you watch a lot of hip hop documentaries, they will mention so many different experiences of how they felt like hip hop came together. Which could all be true as well, but to finalize and put a date on it is to actually open up the world for somebody to celebrate a hip hop at 53, or at least make it to where it could be more generalized, so it could be more popularized. That's just what I would say.
Same with the figurehead in DJ Kool Herc,
right?
Same thing. I remember what I was doing that day, man, when they threw that party. I couldn't go because I had to run uptown. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it just seems really weird. Like there have been instances where, of course, Kool Herc has, you know, mentioned a lot of these people, like who Disco, you know, and others, but.
Right.
It just seems like nobody got the message. You know, nobody listened, and he don't seem to come out and be like, oh no, yeah, I need to. You know, he takes it for what it is.
He gonna let people right. He gonna let people run with it. You know what I'm saying? The one thing about it is, whether it's a lie or not, let's humor everybody.
Well, no, like just explain. Let's not call it a lie either.
Right.
Categorize it as that.
This situation. Let's say if it's true, hip hop wins. If it's not true, then somebody needs to come, or they all need to collectively come together and figure out what's the actual date. Because at the end of the day, we are still going to wait for the actual date to celebrate hip hop, and or we are going to wait for clarification on whether we should change the date or make something new, but it still needs to be broken down into one cohesive story that everybody, the masses, can follow. Because hip hop is where it's at now. It's right. Where it's at. If you want, in my opinion, if you wanted to change the narrative of how we believe hip hop was built, y'all should have been working on that a long time ago. But I'll say to their defense, to everybody's defense, it is a moving entity. It's constantly moving from the time that they started, from August 11th or even before that. And we know how things grow. We know how things get popular. Nobody's stupid. We know how things get popular because one person does it, another person likes what they do it, another person does it, and it spreads like wildfire. So are we naive to say everything started like Kool Herc said, okay, this party is where hip hop is going to start? No, but we do want to, for some human reason, we want to identify with a particular time and date, just so we can do what we're doing right now, which is celebrating 50 years of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said, I think there's a underlying element of hip hop needing a father figure. Being, where hip hop came from, and the stigma and then the economic circumstances of what a lot of these pioneers of ours and forefathers, were going through at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'd also say you're absolutely correct. We do need to come to a consensus so we actually have something that we can all wholeheartedly get behind. Even if there are naysayers who want to, detract, everybody is going to recognize the 11th as, happy birthday hip hop.
Because one thing I will say is there's always a constant thing that some people are doing to try to destroy our history. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm more interested in us preserving our history as opposed to battling on whether certain parts of the history is true. I'll leave that to the hip hop historians. Whomever the historians are, man, try to get as much information before people start passing away and things like that, and try to make that concise. As for everybody else, let's continue to preserve our culture the best way we can. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue to do that.
That's what I thought. That's what I really dug about Clubhouse, in the early days, like when it first got re-popping.
Right.
There were a lot of our OGs, should I say. It's like just giving stories, giving game, helping out artists, in platforms. It was dope to really utilize it for that oral history type of thing.
Right.
Because it's just purely an audio app, people are talking it up, but of course it turned into something else along the way.
Right. I think a lot of that energy converted into more podcasts, people doing more podcasts and having these legends and our great sit down. Let's keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it going.
The rap scene had a couple back in the day. It was fun.
Come on, shout out to the rap scene.
What's your favorite era of hip hop?
I mean, to be honest, I gotta say the 90s. More for me, I'm not gonna lie. For me, it's more so mid to late 90s. That's what I feel like is my favorite era, because that's the era that most of my memories are connected to. That's the memories of me actually being aware and more so active into hip hop on the side of appreciation of being a fan, but also the side of developing my want for wanting to be a creator. You know what I'm saying? So, and then as far as the albums, like let's just take, and I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, but let's just take the top 25 albums, whatever that may be in everybody's eyes. I think probably more than 50% are from the 90s.
You're wrong. No, I'm joking. I can get with that. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Like the ones who, that's just the elite level. Like, I mean, let's just take, if you wanted to take the source route, and if you wanted to take like the albums that you believe would be 5 mic albums across the board in all 53 years of hip hop, in my opinion, I think the majority of them would be in the 90s. That's my favorite era.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. There's a lot from the 2000s. More than a few from the late 80s, mid to late 80s. But I would definitely agree with most of them. At least half of them are coming from the 90s. I think I got to roll with the 2000s, like early mid 2000s, and it's just because there was there was like an explosion of what hip hop didn't want to be anymore. I think in kind of a what am I trying to say? A rekindling of a certain sound. And I'm not, you know, not nostalgic and not being old school like that,
Right.
but they were pushing it forward. Like there was a lot of legacies that were putting people on at that
Yeah.
time, and there was a lot of interesting music that was starting to come out.
Right.
Like that. I feel like that's
No
when
Limit, Cash Money.
NERD took their real stride. You know,
Yep.
yeah,
Facts.
I'm me like not listening to. I hated Cash Money.
You're right.
I wasn't a fan of No Limit, but
Right.
of course these were movements that were going on that were impacting things way bigger than, you know, what I was into. Most definitely. You know, the little cliques like Slum Village, like you know, we just started hearing about Kanye West, like
Yep. Kanye was very big and instrumental in that time frame for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's why I would choose that, because before that, again, it was just purely early '90s stuff, late '80s stuff. But it just felt like, you know, it felt like my musical palette grew, like right out of high school. And it was like, whoa, like there's all kinds of shit to listen to real quick. And yeah, I'm picking that.
And Star Trek, the Star Trek sound, like you said, Nerd, that was a very big instrumental part. I think that was the time of the super producer. That was the super producer time. So it was a lot of big records going out there. You know, the whole Timberland era, you know what I mean? That was heavy. That was big. R&B was at its highest.
We didn't even mention G Unit.
Yeah, same thing. You're absolutely right. Yes, I think the height of like popularity, you know, sales, albums that I believe are shaping what we see now and moving forward definitely came from the 2000s. I'm just, you know me, I'm a nostalgia head. my albums and songs are connected to my memories. You know how I go.
Same thing. As much as I love, you know, most of the I could recite a whole lot more lyrics from the 90s than I can from the 2000s. Be that for whatever reason it may. Good stuff. Yeah, you know, people what the golden age was the early 80s, right? Through the 70s to the early 80s. Then it was the new school, of course, and then, you know, post new school into the 90s. Yeah. Nice.
I mean, you know, I'm not mad at anybody saying any particular era, because even let's say if we take the past 10 years, we got some shit in the past 10 years too. And you got prime dot. So it's like, how can you not, you know what I mean? Any era can really take it. I just love the fact that, you know, we've come so far and we're still going. You know what I mean? Like I think we're probably the only genre that didn't have like a disparaging heavy drop off that lasted for years. You know what I mean? Because we've always been prominent as one of the forefronts of music that travels into other businesses, other IPs. You know what I mean? They constantly use us in the popular section of anything that's going out in commercials and things like that. Like it's a continuous thing, you know. And then on top of that, let me add this to the equation too, because this is a big thing as well. Also having a growing and intuitive fan base of our catalog music overseas. You know what I mean? Like there are heads out there that's banging funk music, hardcore East Coast records, old school R&B. There's new acts that are coming out sounding like TLC, sounding like our old R&B groups. That's crazy. So to be able to have these like subgenres of hip hop and R&B continuing at a high level in other countries is very, very shocking and very appreciative for, you know, for me, for sure.
I can dig it. Really quick, that, you know, I wanted to bring this up when we were on with Lex Lou. Shout out Lex.
Shout out Lex.
I was talking to Classic. Classic is he from Akron? I think that's why I wanted to bring him up. He might be from Columbus, I'm not sure, but and he's still there too. And so I wanted to, you know, get his take on and yours, which I'm going to ask you right now, being that we're talking about hip hop being 53, and you just brought, what made me think about it is you bringing up subgenres.
Right.
When are we going to get a contemporary hip hop, adult contemporary hip hop subgenre?
That is a question everybody be yo, first off, that's a real question. I'm glad you said that.
He does panels, Plastic, the artist I was talking about, and he does his thing on the mic too. He's really pushing that issue and for that movement. Adult contemporary hip hop. What say you?
See, okay, so I'm torn between this situation because number one, all hip hop artists always use the competitive angle to do what they do. The nature of our music is from a competitive angle, whether we talk about drugs, women, lyricism, life. It's all competitive. The problem with that is when it comes to #1 albums, Grammy award-winning projects, any level of celebration that has hip hop a part of it, the artists are serious about their shit. Like, sidebar, but also connecting to this, the group BTS was furious with the Grammys for having a subgenre of K-pop. They put them in the Asian K-pop category. They're no longer, which is, I don't even know how that works, but
yeah, that's kind of weird.
Dude, BTS is K-pop, period.
What am I missing? K-pop is Korean pop, isn't it?
Right.
And they are Korean, aren't they?
Right. But they made a subgenre of like Asian pop, and then they put BTS. So BTS, long story short, BTS is boycotting the Grammys. What I'm saying is, for hip hop, it would be half of the genre would hate it to have a contemporary hip hop genre and split up the legends from the new artists that are trying to compete at the same time. Because a lot of like imagine this. Imagine Kendrick.
I get that. Just to interject, I get that because BTS, they're a whole new category of stuff. K-pop, I mean, is a whole new category. So yeah, why would you do that? Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Now what you do is imagine this, which I think will happen. Kendrick Lamar goes on another 10-year run, right? He's winning Grammys, stellar albums, and things like that. Do you now stop him and say, hey, we're going to put you in the contemporary hip hop category? Are you doing that to Dot? Are you doing that to Jay-Z? Why would you put Jay-Z? I mean, from the standpoint of how long he's been in the game, yes. But for Jay-Z as an artist who wants to compete, why would you do that to him? Why would you put him in a contemporary level of a category when he can still compete at a high level amongst the new artists?
I understand. The only reason I would is just because of the difference in fan base. And
the difference in style of music. I agree with that. That sounds good for R&B, which is the reason why we have a contemporary R&B. That's a thing, because even the concepts, the topics, the approach to the musicianship is different from regular R&B to contemporary R&B. I get that, but with hip hop, you can have somebody with a totally different side of production that still talk about bitches, hoes, life, betterment, empowerment. So that's why I'm torn between the two, because the competitive side of me is like, hell no. But if you wanted to appropriate it, for lack of a better word,
that's a good word for it. Yeah.
Then you would do it. You would have a contemporary hip hop. You would have a hip hop genre. Then you would have a melodic hip hop. Then you would just break it down into all type of ways. So I mean, in a couple of years, we'll have to have the real conversation, because I think it might happen.
Well, the conversation is already started, yeah. And I guess I'm torn too, because just for all the points that you said, and also like I love the idea of us being in control of our shit. And
Right.
it feels like they just want to be I don't it to be accepted in a different way in the
Right.
eyes of, again, like you said, these organizations and corporations
Mhm.
that we really don't give a fuck about when it comes to this thing of ours. Um,
Right.
so yeah, appropriation might be a good term for it. And on the same side of that coin, why I'm torn is because you can we I won't be mad if we just call it that. But
Right.
if we start having the category for it in these award shows, that then it's like you said, we just appropriating and we
Because
giving more of our power away for it.
right, because if they can, you know how these companies go. If they can categorize it, then they can sell it. If they can
So it's
sell it,
another
the company
box.
gets bigger. Exactly. So
Mhm.
our thing is like the best part about hip hop is that you can't quite put your finger on any of it. Because the minute you think you
Exactly.
got it locked down, it's going to take another shift.
Mhm.
So the one thing I will say that I would love to see, I would love to see, let's say if the category did happen, I would love to see our legends continue to get awards for their great work in their later years. That would be a great thing for me,
Mhm.
because at the same time, it's like you got to remember there are still some of our legends who still have a high pen game, high production value. It's not just the artists. A lot of the older musicians and creators and songwriters, they usually kind of get pushed to the side because a lot of people feel like hip hop gets younger and younger. But in actual reality, there's some great fire records that comes out, you know, in hip hop that are overlooked because, quote unquote, we don't have a contemporary hip hop genre that contributes to shows and new albums coming out and things like that. So I think if they would embrace that across the board, like across the entire music genre, then a lot of our older artists and our older creators will start getting more recognition, and hopefully that can lead to a longer longevity in music. You know what I mean? Because country music is forever. All
Right.
the niggas get they awards all day, every day, because they
Mhm.
don't look at it as any age bracket in country music. It's just good country music and bad country music. You know what I mean?
Right. And their audience reflects that as well.
For
Um,
sure. It's like it's generations of families that grew up off of one band, like Nine Inch Nails. It's like 40
that's
years
far
of
from country, Rob, but I know
family.
what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in rock, like just other genres, I would say. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Intermission time. Guess what that means?
You already know. You already know.
I need a number, 1
Record
through
of the
10.
day.
Let me shuffle while you think hard about this number. 1 through
The number
10.
is 53.
Ah,
No, let's go. We did 5 already, so let's go 3. Let's go 3.
okay. And again, we're still in this classic albums stack. I still haven't
Right.
made another stack. So 1, 2, 3 is kind of featured in every episode that we do. Um, hanging up on the wall right there. This is the artwork from this actual edition that I
Mhm.
got. My
Come
beautiful
on. Let's
fantasy.
go.
Yeah, his magnum opus of an album.
For
Uh,
sure.
beautiful artwork, beautiful letter
For sure.
work on the art. It's I can't read that on screen, but it says Kanye West, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, word.
Kanye.
Yeah, triple vinyl. Like I said, that artwork came with it. I think it had a couple stickers in here. I'm not sure if this was any kind of special edition. It's got standard black vinyl. What a masterpiece.
After
Um,
that album, it was nothing you could say about Kanye when it comes to music. Absolutely nothing.
I don't think he's made a better project than this ever
No.
since.
It's,
This
it's,
album is what, 15 years old? When did this come out?
I think that album and Graduation are battling with each other
Gotta say, most definitely.
for the cohesiveness of the album. Um, and also I would still give it to a Dark Twisted because of the growth in production. in terms of the sound selections and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give it to that.
Yeah,
but
which he always does, which he always does, album by album. Yes,
right.
Correct. Graduation was my second favorite. This is my first.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right, but what you know what I will say though, and this is just for me. Maybe these albums didn't come out in this order, but it's definitely how I listen to it in this order. Kanye, Dark Twisted is a completion. Is it? How should I say this? Dark Twisted Fantasy is a certificate of completion after going through Yeezus, in my opinion. After going through all of the Yeezus energy,
then you get to be treated to Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah.
I love Yeezus. I did love Yeezus. Yeah.
Let me explain this. At first, I hated Yeezus because I didn't understand. I didn't get it. Fire. I didn't get Yeezus. I didn't understand. It wasn't until my elevation as a producer that I started to realize that Yeezus is one of my favorite projects production-wise. Mm-hmm. I can't stop listening to Yeezus now.
It was all over the place, but it was a nice controlled chaos.
Right, but not only is it all over the place, it's all over everybody else's album. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so many people who took it. We're gonna be having a conversation about Yeezus for years to come in terms of production and what it's shaped. Same thing with 808s and Heartbreaks. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, same thing with Donda. Because Donda, and you'll just hear this piece first, because I'm probably gonna do a blog about this. Donda is a reflection of incomplete music that tells a story that you can now hear Drake's album, Future's album, and a bunch of other albums.
Yeah.
If you listen to Donda,
and it should be. What do you like to say? That was almost the Detox, almost the album that we didn't get. Donda, he was talking about it for years and years and years.
And Donda is a great project, but it feels incomplete because why? Kanye was incomplete. Go back and listen to the album. It's gonna fuck you up. It's gonna fuck. And I'll explain it on another thing. But I'm saying that to say Dark Twisted Fantasy was a complete level of full Kanye on the artist side and on the production side and on the executive side for who he chose on these songs.
Let's shout out Donda, mixed and engineered by friend of the show, Irko.
Man, big shout out. You did that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Did that.
Favorite album, favorite record from My Beautiful Dark Twisted. There's so many. I gotta say, All of the Lights. It was my favorite. All of the Lights. Of course, it's the best not just because of Rihanna, people, not just because of Rihanna, but a masterpiece of a record on a masterpiece of an album. What they say, it took them like 8 months to like complete. Like, yeah, that's crazy work.
For me, it's this is a song for the douchebags. That record, that record, it says so much in so less words.
Right.
Even the video was even better to me.
Ew.
It was even better.
He had the Nicki Minaj that everybody loved talking on it.
The bass was gritty. The piano. I mean, you can play two keys. The first two keys you can play, and everybody finna go crazy. You've seen it in his concerts. Even if a little kid came and did it, anybody is on the piano and they play the first two keys, everybody go crazy.
Right.
That right there is proof that record can transcend so many different lives, genres, energies. I mean, I've heard it countless times on comedy movies, action movies. Like it's for me, it's in the top 5, actually top 3 of Kanye records for me. It's in the top 3 for sure.
That would be a crazy list to make. Yeah. I'd take a while to fix that up. I'd
You
have
would
to
have
listen
to
to a lot
you
of
would
it.
have to break it up. You have to break it up.
Yeah.
Kanye
Maybe.
is the only person that you can do top 5 or top 10 rap records, top 5, top 10 produced records, top 5, top 10 R&B records.
Damn. Yeah,
Kanye's the only person who can do that.
I love it. Great one. You always choose the best albums and record of the day.
Man, listen, that album is so incredible. And
we're gonna make sample. We're gonna do a sample record stack. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do all that. That record could continue. Keep going while we move on.
No. I would just say that record, in terms of like, because from a lot of stories that I hear when people who are part of that record talk about it, they talk about how gruesome the recording process was. Like, you didn't even know if he was going to be on the album. You know, it was hours and hours of working on something. You might not even be on it. You know, grueling, like mix it again. You know what I mean?
Was this one the Hawaii record?
Yep.
Okay.
The Hawaii joint. Like, and on top of that, it's like, still to this day, to be on a Kanye record is pretty much like a hip hop stamp of approval. I don't care what you're doing on a Kanye record. To be on it is an approval in itself.
But
before it even gets to the fans, just knowing that you made it is a thing. You know what I mean? Just knowing that you made it is a thing.
I also really liked Vultures, man, with Ty. That was a good album to me. That was a really
Vultures
good
is slept on because of the hoopla of whatever he was going through at that time. Like, all of this stuff in the media, man. And Ty Dolla $ign's my guy, man. So shout out to Ty Dolla $ign. And I really wish that y'all got a chance to roll out that album without all that bullshit happening with Kanye and whatever he wants to say in the media. Because those two projects was fire. You know what I'm saying?
I miss the new Kanye. Nah.
You missed old Kanye
videos. I missed the new Kanye. It was one of my old videos. A little video essay I put together. Just a couple more short topics. This thing of ours again, 53 years old. That's what we're talking about here. And we talked about the progression from the late 70s to the early 80s. And that's when the term new school was jumping around, like New Jacks and everything. But yeah, and while there were places where that was obviously coming from in the culture, but to people who were, just getting on board like me, probably like you, it didn't seem like such a stigma or such a divide. But nowadays, of course, for a while now, it's been, the gap has just grown wider and wider and wider into a chasm. Who has always been more responsible for that divide, the old school or the new school?
Okay, let me say this. It's our era. We're responsible for that.
Why is
that? And I'll explain. So the 90s era was the era that said, we're not doing what y'all doing. We're not following what y'all follow. We're doing something else.
And see, that's why they were New Jacks. Because the era before that, the ones who started all this 50 odd years ago, they were, already starting to hate, because these New Jacks were seeing money that they never saw before. We're seeing fame that they would never even see till this day. And they started all of this. So the hate didn't start. Well, there was already hate, should I say? But tell me how it exploded with the 90s.
But see, the thing about it is like, for me, in my opinion, I don't think it was the hate that was the caveat to it. I think the concept of us wanting to do something that was more outlandish than our predecessor. We got to remember, when NWA came out, they completely redefined what we talk about conceptually in hip hop. Completely. Now, when I say NWA, of course, that any group or artist along the West Coast or East Coast that fell into that category of doing things and talking about really outlandish energies, they're a part of that. Yeah. Because you got to remember, we got the message before. Yeah, are you talking about things that's happening in the community? For sure. Are you talking about being poor, things like that? For sure. When NWA came out, they came out and said, fuck the police. They not saying, I wish the police would save us more than kill us. They said, no, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
We're going to do this shit ourselves.
What a turning point for hip hop, like for real. It's not like people weren't saying that within the culture, of course, before that, but for them to put that record down, yeah.
That's why the West Coast gets the moniker of being the most blunt, in your face, fuck you. Like then it started to, you get the Spice Ones of the world, you get the, you get the Above the Laws of the world. Then you get on the East Coast, you get the Wu-Tangs. You're getting so many energies of like, we're going to completely do, and you got to remember, this is also the continuance of don't do my style. Don't do my style. Mm-hmm. This is my style. You can't, like back in the 80s and the late 70s and the early 80s, these styles are being developed as they go. So if somebody was doing your same style, it was pretty much okay because they're just trying to develop. Our era was no, don't do my style. As soon as I do my style, that shit is mine. You can't do that. So now we got people battling each other off of styles. Then one of the biggest things was when one thing was winning, nothing else that followed that same trend could win. It was over. When Snoop started doing this thing, it was over. So it was a great thing, but this is where I'd say it was our fault because we started to alienate people that was directly next to us because of those same elements that got us popping.
We are also talking about like inceptions of genres, of subgenres of hip hop, like gangster rap that, NWA pretty much, is credited with starting that.
Right. Even, we are creating at the same time of creating, we're also alienating the objective of somebody else coming behind us. On top of that, we completely switched the concept ideas of what to talk about. Remember, they partying and having a good time for the most part, up tempo beats and things like that. Man, 90s niggas said, man, slow that shit down. We got something we got to talk about. Slow that shit down, man. That hurt us a little bit.
Shit was still rough too. And shit was still rough too. So, that's why.
It was rough. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that our era, the 90s era, became more of a reflection of our lives. And then even though that was still great music, that shit hurt us, man, because we really feeling pain. We really in pain.
Even then, to me, man, it didn't feel like much of a divide at all between the generations. And of course, now there's multiple generations, since then. But like even at that time, like we had our Nas's and our Jay-Z's who were brought up by some of these OGs. Who were still giving love to these OGs on a lot of these 90s records and these 90s albums that were coming out by these OGs and featuring them on their new stuff. I'll point to one single moment in time.
What? When?
30's the new 20 or 30-something from Kingdom Come. That's when the generation divide. That's when we really started to feel it. And I think that's when the younger generation really embraced it. Like, for real, it was like, hey, what? No, it ain't, like whatever. And they still had the mindset that we gave them, that hip hop is a young man's game. Like this is what it is. And it still was at the same time. Like, look at the contrast. Like rap was just about 30 years old at that time.
Right.
So Jay-Z, I always giving his double talk. But yeah, I point to that. But again, especially for the young heads, because they was like, no, I don't think so. We ain't wearing no button-ups. Like, what are you talking about? We ain't into that. Not to mention that Kingdom Come was one of his least favorite albums.
Least favorite albums, right?
Not of mine, but one of his least received albums.
Right,
Of his
right.
career, should we say? But yeah, that's what I go for.
Well, for me, I would say even before that is like, nah. When Puff and Family came through, and they started shining and misusing money. Like, hey,
oh yeah,
listen. First off, them records was great records. Can't take nothing away from that. But you remember the divide. I was on the side of the hip hop niggas. It was a divide between the hip hop niggas and niggas that wanted to be shining.
Shiny suits.
And had all the money in the shiny suits.
Shiny suits and gym boots. I remember.
And at that point in time, this was what, 94, 95, 96. It's like, hey, either you want to be like the hip hop guys and have good lyricism, or you want to get this paper. Now, the reason why I said that's the moment where everything changes is because, once again, it's in our era, and we have the ability to either bring it together or separate and alienate everybody. And
you know what's also crazy too? To add to that is we were just talking about adult contemporary hip hop. This time frame right here is when the term boom bap first started being used.
Exactly. Right. And you remember when J. Ruda Damager, when he started dissing the cats that was flossing and everything.
Yeah.
Now, what that did was when the 2000s hit, all the new generation, like, man, we're not finna even get into what y'all getting into. We finna do our own thing.
Right.
We don't care about, man, y'all trying to tell us what to do, but then y'all battling against yourself. You know what? We finna do something totally different. Then you get all of the Kanye's, even Kanye admitted years later, man, I wasn't no boom bap. I wasn't no backpack rapper. Man, I was just saying that just to get into the game. Man, I'm a weirdo. I'm on some weird shit, doing fly weird shit, man. What you mean?
I remember that. Definitely remember that.
That shit hurt my heart. I'm like, you wasn't a backpacker? What?
He just wore a Louis Vuitton backpack. No, that's all. He just wore the backpack. That's all.
I just wore the backpack because my NPC was in that thing. I wasn't fucking with y'all niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the newer generation, even now to this day, is like, I'm going to do whatever we want to do, which should be awarded. It should be awarded that they want to do something new and unique. Yeah. Should you like it, old head? No, you don't have to like it, but you got to respect it because we did the exact same thing to our predecessors. That's all I'm
saying. And you can't knock the hustle, pretty much.
Can't knock the hustle, man, at all.
Get it in. Beautiful. But it was Kingdom Come when it happened. It was like 04, 05 or something like that. Okay. Last one. Have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, hip hop. Where would this thing of ours have started if it didn't start in New York, Counselor? Where is the birthplace of hip hop if it didn't start out in the Bronx?
It gotta be.
Depending on who you ask.
No, it gotta be Compton. If it wasn't going to be in New York, it was going to be Compton. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, California preferably, but I'll say Compton because of the circumstance. Like, circumstance in hip hop makes for people to break barriers.
They were fresh off the Watts Rise, weren't they? Like,
come on, man.
They were fresh in people's minds.
The height of NWA was because of the things that was happening, crack epidemic, gangs. So I feel like, you know, hip hop was made from being able to do something that was different from what was there. You know, like my business partner Badru, he always says, like, you know, in hip hop in music there are rules. Don't scratch the record. Let the record play. Hip hop completely defies what that is.
You see my eyes. I didn't hear that. I was kind of lost on the premise. See, I'm like, don't scratch the record.
Like, hip hop actually scratches the record, and it's fire. So hip hop comes from a place of rebelliousness. Anytime there's turmoil or there's hardship, there are few people who find ways to continue life and to continue the energy regardless of what's going on. And that's what hip hop is. That's why in every core of our beings of life, during the situations where it gets the hardest, hip hop thrives the most. Always. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, God, it just brings up so many questions for me. And that's probably, if anybody has seen me on your screen before, you may have seen me ask that question before. It's one of the hot topics that I love, especially to run by people like you, counselor. But that's most of the time I get LA. People say Los Angeles. That's the second time I've got Compton, and I do agree. However, it begs the question: how long would that have taken for that to happen? Now, there's not like there weren't people who were of the same mind frame and cutting edge, like in their space of Compton and LA, of all these places. Within the Los Angeles County region.
Yeah.
But who would have came up with scratching if someone didn't do it in New York first? How long would that have taken for someone to figure that out?
Right.
How would all of these things have coalesced? There was a huge graph scene in New York before anyone started talking about hip hop. It just, became a part of the fabric of what hip hop is.
Right.
That's mainly attributed to all them subways and all them trains that everybody used to ride, and in the fucked up buildings, the more the rundown neighborhoods that you could really just throw these pieces and tags up on. LA wasn't so much like that in both senses back in the day. How would that have coalesced? And I'm not asking that question. It's kind of just rhetorical, but what would have been the energy like? Dude, I can't. People don't talk about park jams that were happening in Los Angeles at that time.
But also keep in mind, eventually at a certain point in time, we got Compton got Uncle Jam's Army and things like that. You know what I'm saying? It had DJs from the section. I don't know how long it would have took for it to happen, but I'm for sure it would have happened, because the one thing that I remember, even just me being someone in Brooklyn and experiencing hip hop, a lot of those things. I mean, still block parties, still the energy of all of those things. All of that energy comes from when you're trying to find a way out of the circumstance you're already in. So having a park jam was the opposite to having a park shootout. They started having park jams so people in the neighborhood could get familiar with each other.
Right.
That shit would have happened in Compton. It would have happened in LA. It would have happened in a multitude of places. So I feel like it wouldn't have been so far along. And then also when it comes to dancing and whatnot, I mean, California, LA is just as much of a dance city and state as New York is. You know what I'm saying? So maybe the moves wouldn't have reflected the same way. Maybe we would have got Crip walking and B walking 20 years earlier. Who knows? I don't know. You know what I mean? But I know it definitely would have happened. The last thing I will say is, the reason why I say Compton is because, it's got to be honest. Got to be honest. Don't get mad at me, y'all. I say a lot of crazy stuff, but it's only from love. I say Compton because Compton artists are resilient.
Yes.
If you go down the list of all Compton artists that have made some level of success in that area, it's mind-blowing.
And they're diverse.
It's diverse. Very. On all different levels. So
those are 2 points that it just clicked to me when you started. Right. Columbo Black was the only other person to give me that answer.
Man, shout out to Columbo Black. That's my guy.
Yes.
We got to get him on the show too. We got to get him on the show for sure.
That would be
that'll be fire. The one thing that I will say is, it takes a level of heavy resilience in order to start to do things when you're going through a lot. I'm not saying that Los Angeles doesn't do that and other places don't do that. What I'm saying is Compton lives by the same thing a lot of Brooklyn areas, New York areas live by, which is the roads that grew from the concrete. When you say that term, the 2 places you think about when you say that term, in my opinion.
2 concrete jungles.
Brooklyn, Compton. 2 places. The roads that grew from the concrete. Dr. Dre's, the Kendrick Lamars, the Busta Rhymes, the Biggies, the Jay-Z's, the Fabulous. Come on, man. being the flyest in a city full of people who might not be fly or might want to take your shit for you being too fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the closest, like murders that are close to home, the friend across the street, your cousin, your auntie, the little kid that was on the bike that hit the stray bullet. You've heard these. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other places. What I'm saying is it happens frequently enough in these places to where if hip hop was not born in New York, it would have been in Compton for sure.
I agree with everything that you said. My answer is always somewhere just close to New York, somewhere ancillary like a Philly or a New Jersey.
Philly too, yeah.
Upstate New York, with all the noise that they're making nowadays.
Right.
Somewhere close like that. Because of course, it might have been less back in the day, but I know it was still a thing. People migrate through those places all the time. People get from New York to Philly, so it could have been started by a New Yorker just in Philly or in Jersey. Like
or in Virginia, or in DMV.
I'll be saying New York started in Virginia Beach in 1972. Like,
right,
bizarro hip hop world. Yeah, that's what we got, man. Things fall apart. Happy birthday, hip hop.
Happy birthday, hip hop, man. We wish her or him or it another 100 years, man. Another 100 years, man.
With all 5 of your glorious elements.
Yes.
Blessings upon us. Let's keep doing the knowledge. Let's keep the love up. Let's keep this art form, this thing of ours. Let's not let it fall apart.
And we gotta definitely talk about the 5 elements and how it has grown over the years, because we got to talk about that, man. That'd be dope. But yeah, no, 100%.
I be planning them, Rob. Come on, let me get my producer shit on.
Listen, let me tell you something before we get up out of here. Frank is nothing to be played with. He's going to lay out the entire episode. He's going to take things that you say in natural conversation and build out a fabulous episode layout. You know what I mean? So shout out to Frank, man. You know what I'm saying? Make sure I go follow him at his social medias, and shout out to the rap scene. You know what I'm saying? His platform. We're going to keep this thing rolling, man, because we do not want things to fall apart.
Please do, y'all, and do the same for the counselor here. Polly Rob, WORKLOAD. This dude has been doing his thing forever. Shout out Local Astronauts. He is the main in-house producer. He's the founder. What am I talking about? He's the creative director. He's our local astronaut here.
Facts.
Of course, hence the name. Yes, give the man a follow on any app you can tap, just like me. And like he said, peace. Let's keep it moving.
WORKLOAD. Let's get it.